come at me.
You have been in the gym.
I have been.
Matter of fact, you guys would be proud to know that your youth pastor
Yes.
hit 245 the other day.
Yes. That's 245 kilograms.
Now, like,
That's-
did that come with how many juices, like injection of steroids? I know you were doing that
Creatine.
earlier, but the steroids, did that come natural for you, or do you drink it?
Can we cut it? Can we cut? What is up, Arise You? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Let's Talk. Man, we got my boy, pastor, bishop, father of five.
We here.
We're excited for this, bro.
We are here finally.
Bro, so Pastor Keren, I can't wait to talk. I'm excited because, one, we get to dive into this, we get to have fun, and not only am I talking with one of my favorite people, my brother-in-law, best friend, and mentor, pastor figure, all of that, fashion icon, all of those things, except for you kind of got the dogs out right now, which is kind of suspect.
That's crazy.
Dude, he has the dogs out.
Let
You
me tell
guys
you right now,
chat.
listen.
He has no socks.
These
No
are
socks.
the most comfortable shoes you would ever put on your feet.
The dogs are still out, though. Maybe I'll even attach a picture of Pastor Keren's feet, and there's pretty scary. But there's a quote that I've heard you say. I don't know if it originated with you or not, but it's something that I would kind of like to dive into in the regards to identity, because I think a lot of us naturally fall into a category where we have a hard time being our true, authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we feel in settings like an imposter, so therefore we take on the design of what others place on us or expectations they place on us instead of just being who God has created us to be. And the quote that you said is, not only disobedient teenagers carry around fake IDs.
Right. So yes. Identity is a very big thing for me. I'll tell you a few reasons why, but the quote that you're talking about is, rebellious teenagers aren't the only one carrying fake IDs. And the notion behind that is a lot of us walk around wearing masks, not being who we are called to be. The problem is, this is the problem. You ready for this? The problem is we want to be what others want us to be instead of what God has designed us.
But why do you think we experience that tension? Because as believers, as followers of God, you would think that we would have this understanding, I am created, I am one of one, I'm not an accident, he spoke me into existence. So I believe that Christians should be the most confident, not arrogant, confident, secure people.
Right, but the tension and the reality is we don't realize that. And so we want to be everything else that is around us. In essence, we want to find community, right? And so we want to fit in. And so it's easy to blend in when you want to fit in. Standing out takes courage. Standing out takes cost. Finding who you are takes effort and time, because sometimes there's a digging that has to happen, because you have to throw away all the nastiness, all the things that you've picked up. And what I've learned in my life is this: it's easier to be me than it is to be Jonny. Gosh, I was always trying to be those around me, and I found myself more frustrated, more depressed.
And you'd probably have a hard time hitting 245 on bench. No, I'm just kidding.
Like,
you could rest
it's
that.
tough hitting 245 when you're doing 335.
Pause. It's all right. It's all right.
What do we pause?
I don't know. I don't want to switch the subject.
But that's the truth, though, right? So,
Yeah.
Because we see other people who are doing things that we want to do, and in essence, we neglect on who we want to do.
Yeah.
And, psychologists will say this about shame, because I think one of the biggest reasons why we are so stuck on not being us is, truth of the matter is, we're ashamed of who we are. And shame is this: shame is being upset with who you thought you were supposed to be. So you ever get those moments where you're like, gosh, I thought I was better than this.
Yeah.
And then you let yourself down. So it's like, well, if I'm not working, let me just try to be someone else.
Yeah.
And so and we live in a culture, and I'm not putting down social media, but social media has propelled this kind of propensity for us to look like other people, or for us to put on a mask so that people don't see what we really look like.
Yeah, because social media is only highlights. It's not real, but yet we live in this world where we almost have more real estate online than we do in real life. So we have to maintain an image
Absolutely
that we want to be able to sustain.
And see, there it is right there. Maintain.
Yep.
It gets tiring.
Yep.
Like people have to see that I'm okay all the time, 100% of the time. Who would be the person that puts all their bad moments on social media?
Yeah.
That's not really a likable thing, right?
We should start that.
What? Like I should just put my feet on there.
No, that would get shut down and blocked. But like 8 a.m., we're stressed trying to get the kids in the car.
Exactly.
Friday, our house is a wreck because we've been running all week. Oh man, I haven't done laundry in God knows how long. Like putting some of those moments where we lost our temper. Like I think that would be kind of a cool trend of like real me.
Right.
God's still good.
And that's the thing. Like people need to understand that it's okay to be them. It's okay to be frustrated because you're late for work and your kids are giving you, the biggest difficulty.
Or you failed the test.
You failed the test. It's okay. Now, do we stay that way? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't beat ourselves up for the fact that we did fail. Matter of fact, we would say in our culture, failure is a testament that we're trying something.
Yeah.
And then if we don't fail, that means oftentimes we're playing it safe, and I don't want to play it safe.
Yeah, no, I saw a cool like image art of like leadership, and they had one bullseye over here with target, like it was hit, but it was not anywhere near the bullseye, and it said success. On the other side, it was just a blank target and no one ever shot, and they said failure. And I thought that was a very unique perspective because it's showing that the way to success, the way to, and whatever success is, what I'm talking about, even being more like God, growing, being more you, all those great attributes and self-disciplines that we want to have, starts that you have to try,
right?
That you have to show up, that you have to look to grow. If you're not growing, you're dying, which is another one of our culture thing, and we want to continue with that. So can you remember in your life, where was a time where you were not you? Where's a time that you felt pressure to blend in with society, culture, and then kind of what helped you get out of that?
Yeah, gosh, there are many instances, but for me, when I can think about the most is back in college. When I was in college, and
what school you go to?
I went to Mount Union University first before I dropped out. I went to Mount University, played football, over there. Did great athletically, but academically I was horrible. I just
anyone else athletically or not good academically? Drop in the chat.
Go to class, you know what I mean? But yeah, I was trying to be everything that everyone else around me was, and I'll never forget, man. It was my wife at the time, your sister. She would always challenge me like, "Yo, who is this? Like this is," and then those moments I would realize, golly, I'm trying so hard to be something I'm not.
Yeah.
And it was tiresome. And then people around me recognized it.
Yeah.
And so how I got out of it, I was confronted. That's why you need good friends.
Yeah.
That's why you need community. That's why you need people who will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, my wife, my girlfriend at the time, she was like, man, who is this?
Yeah.
I was like, God, this is kind of weird. And then I was in predicaments that I wouldn't normally be in. You know what I mean? Like I was doing stuff I wouldn't normally do. I had a friend ask me the other day, they asked me if I ever did any kind of hard substance or anything like that. And I said, no. And they asked why. I said, because the people that I was around didn't do that. And when we have to recognize that we evolve into who we are around. And so I was around people who may not have been doing hard drugs, but they were doing other things. And I just wanted to be accepted.
Yeah.
And it would turn me into someone I wasn't. And it wasn't, honestly, truthfully, until I became a Christian. Let me say it this way, until I start following Jesus.
Yeah.
We have a lot of Christians, but not a lot of Jesus followers, right? And that's where I started to kind of work through that. Man, this is not who I am. And then there were moments in high school, man. Gosh, John, I could tell you. In high school, there were people who I struggled with, obviously I'm black, and I struggled with people wanting me to be their version of blackness, right? It's like, well, you're too black, okay? I dial that down, whatever that looks like. Well, now you're too white, okay? So I turn it up. Well, now you're not thuggish enough, or you're not educated enough. I'm like, what the? It was mad confusing. And so I realized black is not a cultural trend.
Yeah.
Black is me.
Yeah.
That's who I am, and I had to be comfortable being that. And so through those moments, especially in college, I saw a lot of black dudes that didn't fit the world's America's black mode. I was like, oh, wow. Like Martin Luther King was the blackest dude we ever known.
Yeah.
And he never walked around with his pants halfway down his legs and so on and so forth. What people may project black to be. And
So essentially what you're saying is if we live up to other people's expectations, we have to not only maintain it, but then also it gets tiring because we know we're not being a real self. I've heard it said, if you live for people's acceptance, you die by their rejection.
You will die by their rejection.
And I think we've all been guilty of that.
100%.
Because I know, even in high school, there'd be times where I liked maybe a certain outfit or an idea or something like that, and I would be too insecure to try it or cut my hair a certain way because like, oh, they'll make fun of me or they'll be like, oh, what are you doing? Like, this isn't normally how you dress, or this isn't normally, like, even just basic things of some video games that weren't mainstream that I may have liked. I wouldn't have been walking around like, yeah, play this game, because then you get roasted of it. But now, later in my 20s, I'm like, why is it wrong for me to say that I enjoy playing these video games, or for me to wear the things that I like, or cowboy boots or other things like that? Because that's not me trying to be anything else. That's who I am.
Right.
That's who God created.
And so what's funny about that too, so two things. Number one, it's okay to be inspired. It's wrong to imitate.
Yeah.
Right? And so I could be inspired by somebody, but imitation is something different.
Yeah.
And two, the right people care.
Yeah.
And the right people don't care. So the right people are the people like, so my wife knows that I'm a nerd in a lot of different areas, and she doesn't care.
Helldivers.
Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody.
We still haven't got our Fortnite win, by the way. It is kind of making me mad.
And so for context, Pastor Jonny was discussing, there's a game called
Helldivers. It's a game called Helldivers. We are kingdom people. It's a video game. Look it up, okay?
Helldivers. What are you talking about?
Canceled. Where you going? Mark Driscoll moment. That's all right.
But yeah, and so the wrong people care, like give you the wrong critique. So you'll be around people who you have to shelter yourself around. If that's the case, then that's not somebody you want to be around.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, people like you and I, you know, all my weirdness. I don't care, but like we care about the wrong people's opinions, and we shouldn't live like that.
Yeah.
And is important to get critique? Absolutely, we can grow from that. But some people are just haters because they don't understand you or know you.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that may scare me of your weirdness is your feet. You know, the dog.
It's not weird.
No, don't do it. Don't
stop talking about.
Don't do it. Don't do it. No. Oh,
not that
gosh.
bad. Bro.
That's wrong. Cut. Josiah's behind the thing. It was just
a real moment.
I'm
not gonna conceal this.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. All right. So to kind of begin to kind of segue into where we begin to end this thing. But so I don't want people to hear this and be like, well, excusing bad behavior or sin patterns for saying that's just me. That's just who I am. So because I think that sometimes we can do that. And I've met even youth students, even in myself, I justify sin. Oh yeah, I can't change. It's just me. But God's like, nah, dog, you need to change. You need to give that up.
100%.
So like, what's kind of the balance of that, or if there is a balance, or attention may be the correct word of like what happens if something that you think is an identity of you is actually a wrong identity?
Well, so I'm so glad you brought that up, because my belief is this, especially for those who believe in Jesus, my belief is this, that the real version of you is not who you think it is. It's who God designed you to be.
Come on.
So therefore, if I'm going to use God's word as my mirror.
Nice.
For my correction. So in God's word, I will see the blemishes, the imperfections, not to beat myself down, but to say, man, one, God had grace on me. And then two, how do I get better?
Yeah.
And so once we recognize who we really are, 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17 says, for those, I'll paraphrase, those who believe in God, the old is gone, the new has come. So there's a new identity in Christ. So therefore, we shouldn't be using that's not who you really are then.
Yeah.
If you are habitually living in sin, meaning you make it a habit to do things that you know you shouldn't be doing, and you got to check that. You got to check the fact that you're not being who you're called to be.
Yeah.
I heard this quote, Jonny, is so cool, man. This saying, I don't know where it originated from, but it's this idea that the devil will walk up to you and I and he'll say, hey, you're a hypocrite. You're a sinner. Stop acting like a saint, meaning a Christian.
Yeah.
And God would look at you and I and say, no, you're a hypocrite. You're a saint. Stop acting like a sinner.
Yeah.
In essence, our identity, when we are rooting and following Jesus, it's already in him.
Yeah.
So everything outside of that is not who we really are.
Yeah. So even the way that you approach it is if you were reading the Bible and something that you're doing is contrary to what the Bible's saying, you assume that you're wrong. And it doesn't mean like, oh, I can just, it's too painful.
That's not right.
Yeah.
It's like looking at yourself in the mirror and you seeing broccoli in your teeth. You got to remove that.
Yes.
Because it doesn't belong there. So therefore, some of these acts, these even mindsets, because sometimes it's not just what you're doing tangibly, but it's what you're thinking up here.
Yeah. Because how you think is how you live.
How you think is how you live. And you want to make sure that you are thinking in the right manner. So therefore, yeah, bro, you gotta bounce everything off of from the lens of how God has designed you and I to be.
Yeah.
His word is one of the ways to do that.
And that's how we live our true, authentic self. So what would be, because we're going to have youth students watch this, probably even some young adults, other things, but what would be some like practical advice that you would give the 15, 16-year-old, early 18-year-old that you wish that you would have had back then, or that you would have applied earlier in your life when it comes to your identity?
Number one, walk in confidence. Just be okay with you. Every one of us is weird. We all weird.
I've heard it said, normal is only a setting on the washer machine.
Like, we're all weird. Embrace that. Walk in confidence. Understand that you were created for a reason. You were created on purpose for a purpose.
Yeah.
So whatever that purpose may be, just walk in that confidently. And don't walk your head down. And again, confidence and arrogance are two different things.
Yeah. How could we tell the difference?
One, confidence about understanding who I am. Arrogance is about showing you who I am. That's not the that I'm not trying. I don't care about showing you who I am.
Yeah.
I'm just sure of who I am.
Yes.
And therefore, I'm not going to be, hey, look at me, guys. I got new shoes on.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, look. I'm like, hey, I know me, guys.
Yep.
I'm not concerned with that. You want to walk in confidence, and then you want to walk in. You want to walk in godly wisdom. Let me say it this way: get good friends.
Yeah.
Get good friends, because you need people to tell you. You're going to need people to keep you in line. You're going to need people to tell you when you're out of line. You're going to need people to shape you into the place that you need to be. I'm so glad I have people like you and others in my life that can help me whenever I'm stepping out of line, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So you need good friends. Again, remember, it's so important. Listen to me. I'm gonna say,
listen right now. Come on, is it chat? Listen right now.
Bring the camera close. Listen to me. Keep the right voices at the right volume.
Yep.
You do not want to listen to some of these other folks that are telling you the wrong thing for what you need. You need people to tell you the right thing for what is best for you. Yep. So keep the right voice at the right volume. So walk in confidence, get good community, and then number one, get a youth group.
Come on.
I'll tell you that right now.
It's not just youth. Go on.
It's not just a plug for youth ministry. I'm telling you right now, like, if it wasn't for youth ministry, I don't know where I would be here today.
Yeah.
Like, my youth pastor, his mom helped me become the man that I am today. Yeah. And we have an amazing youth ministry here at Arise Church. And if you're watching this, you don't go to Arise Church, or you don't live in an area, find somewhere you can get plugged in. I'm telling you right now, once you get connected, you'll stay connected.
That's right.
And they'll help you get connected to the purpose and destiny that God has for you.
That's right.
And so, that's some of the things practical advice. But I think one of the biggest one is just make sure you walk in confidence, being comfortable with who you are.
Yeah, and who God's created you.
God's created to be. That's the best way to do it.
I love it, bro. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for talking with us. Thank you for exposing your foot.
I did that.
Even though it was traumatic. If you need counseling, let us know. Arise Coaching and Counseling. No, dog. No. You know that's going to be a meme everywhere, that your foot is going to be there. God, help us all. Well, we love you. We believe in you. Go be who God has called you to be. Don't be the JV version of someone else when you can be the varsity you. And let's press in to who God has called us to be in the right identity. We love you. We see you. Thank you, Pastor Keren.